Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So let me go ahead and share my screen and then we can go from there, okay? I'm just checking if I can share my screen here. Okay, so I think I can share my screen. And as I share it, let me know if you can see my screen, okay? Can somebody confirm if you can see my screen?
Yes, I can see
Yeah.
your screen.
Okay, awesome. Okay, Om Shanti everyone.
Om
Uh,
Shanti.
we are going to start with the workshop right now. I'm just trying to see if Vivek, would you want to record this or should I move forward?
It is being recorded.
It is recording, okay. So thank you everyone. So we did first part of this workshop last month, freedom through meditation, and we are going to go and do the second part of it now. Uh, I would I would recap some of the stuff which we discussed last time so that everybody can take benefit of it. If some of you are coming here first time, you can still take benefit of it. So Vinuben, do you want to say anything before I start?
You can go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So a little bit about me. I have been studying Raj Yoga for last 25 years and have conducted several programs in meditation, emotional mastery, mindfulness, and heart intelligence. I'm also a certified uh, life coach where I help people connect to their joy by helping them connect to their.
No voice now.
No voice, no screen.
Vivek, your mic is not on.
His mic is on actually. Is it?
For some reason, I got disconnected. So, okay, let me share again. And so I have been practicing Raj Yoga for last 25 years and have done several programs in meditation, emotion mastery, and I'm also a certified life coach. I help people find what is blocking them from fully enjoying their life, fully experiencing the power of meditation. I do several programs in corporations. I go and speak in conferences also on the topics of mindfulness, emotional mastery, emotional intelligence, and how to bring more engagement in their teams. So let's go ahead and start. So what I really want to talk about is that if we really see the different levels which we have a physical level, we have emotional level, we have mental level, spiritual level. And then finally, we have the soul. Soul is like the pilot. So all of you, in some way or other, have a lot of information, a lot of knowledge around spirituality, around soul. But what I'm going to focus a little bit more today is the connection between physical, emotional, and mental, more around mental and emotional, so that we can explore a little bit more around how can we be more free. So because this is the important part which needs to be focused on before we can actually get on our journey to become free and really use the power of meditation to be fully free. So how many of you have experienced freedom uh, in your own direct personal experience by practicing meditation? Anybody would like to share, like in a line, in very short, brief? How many of you have experienced freedom? You can unmute yourself.
During and after meditation, it feels relaxing and light. So I think that is freedom.
I think
Okay.
freedom from worrying about little stuff that bothered us before, but meditation kind of puts things in perspective and gives less worries.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah. Anyone else would like to share? Okay. So give me 1 second before I get to the next step. So all of you, what you mentioned is actually true. And if you really see, we have different levels, So we have this physical level, mental, emotional, energetic, and spiritual level. And each level, there is a different set of freedom which is there, At a physical level, the freedom is very straightforward. Like what is the freedom at a physical level? At the physical level, the freedom is you can go wherever you want to go. You're a free bird. You can travel, and there is no restriction where you can be physically, other than certain restricted places. You're like a free bird. You're moving around. You're really enjoying yourself, and and you are the master in which you want to operate at a physical level. So that is the freedom at the physical level, and all of us have that freedom, and that's why most of you are here. You all have physical freedom where you want to be. So here you are at the workshop, so that part is easily available to you. And the next freedom which we talk about is the mental freedom. So what are the signs of the mental freedom? But before we get into the signs of the mental freedom, what creates mental prison? So if you're not mentally free, you are imprisoned, right? So just like physically you're not free or physically imprisoned, you can't move around. You are subjected to a that small location where you have to be, some people, and it is called prison. But from a mental perspective, what is the prison for the mind? At a mental level. Anybody would like to share? What is the freedom at a mental level?
Mental level, no limit at all.
Yeah, that's fine. That's the freedom part. But what creates prison at a mental level? What doesn't allow you to be free mentally?
Are old sanskaras?
Okay, old sanskara is absolutely right, but it's an overall answer. It's a huge answer. It covers everything. You say old sanskara, and everything is covered underneath. So at a mental, yeah.
Yeah, basically the ones which hold you back, like superstition or things you have learned from childhood, affecting the society or whatever, things like that.
Yes, yeah. So a lot of it is what you said is true. So if you really see at a mental level, if you are caught up into judging, you're always judging things, judging other people, including judging yourself. That's a mental prison. The more you are judgmental, the more you're caught up into that prison. And your judgments are not just for yourself, but also for other people, that this is how it should be, this is how they should behave, this is how world should run. So all of those things, the judgments which we carry, are basically making us caught into our own prison. We are also, so people who are into the mental prison are caught up into very, very black and white definition of this is right, this is wrong, this is how exactly it should be, this is how exactly it should not be. So all of those things are very strongly there. The more you are caught up into this right and wrong in a very strict manner, that is also your mental prison, because you can't see any other color in between. And we all know there are a lot more colors between black and white. The other thing is, when you have a perfectionist nature, like you want everything to be perfect, then that is also not allowing, that will also not allow you to be mentally free. And a lot of people in today's world are very much caught up into looking good. Everything should look good. Everything should look in a way like my life is sorted out, my family is sorted out, my profession is sorted out. I have all of these things lined up and everything is perfect. And it comes at a cost. And the cost is you would strive very, very hard to look good versus feeling good, So because you're going to please people, you're going to do different things. All of these things where you spend a lot of time and energy looking good won't allow you to feel good. And that doesn't mean you can't feel good while looking good. But the first thing is you have to focus on feeling good. So when you are happy, when you are content, when you are in joyous place, you would naturally look good. People would come and ask you, you look really good, you look really bright, you look really vibrant, because you're feeling that way. Whereas if you're very stressed inside, but outside you're trying to show everything is perfect, people would pick up that energy. Hey, everything looks good, everything he or she talks is great, but something somewhere doesn't feel right, So they are going to pick up that vibration. So when you are into this place, then it's going to create a lot of stress in your life. And then another thing is, like, when you're caught up into your projection, like whatever, like a lot of people you have seen, they have their own drama going on. And whatever they are thinking, whatever stories they are creating, whatever drama they're going through, they are actually projecting it on somebody else. So the thing which they are going through in their mind, they are telling other person, you think like this way, or this is how you are doing these things, even though when you're not doing it, the other person is actually projecting on you. So and there are several other factors also, but these are the key factors. So if you are doing any of those things, then you are not fully mentally free. You're caught up into your own mental prison. So if I look at this list, and if you look at this list, what do you think? Are you, do you have some of these traits, or are you free of all of them? What do you think? So if we all look at it, like I have these, in different quantities. So we all have in some way or other some of these traits. And there would be very handful of people who would be actually free from all of this. But we all carry a little bit of these traits. And in some ways you can call it again old sanskaras, old strong sanskaras. And all of these are created as part of our programming, our conditioning when we were growing up in our childhood, So the things which were taught by our family members, our parents, our caretakers, our teachers, our religion, they all create this kind of judgment where it was told very clearly, this is right, this is wrong. This is the only way it can happen. This cannot happen this way. And then when you're a child, you are actually learning as you're going along. Yeah, this is exactly what it is, even though some of your caretakers or your parents would have told, hey, people from this culture, this religion are like this, so you create your own judgment. But as you grow up and then you interact with those people, you realize, no, those judgments were not accurate, so you change, you grow out of it. So you break that prison, and you actually are able to connect and relate to those kind of people which you were previously holding judgment. So all of these can create prison, and all of them together can create a bigger mental prison. So that way you cannot be mentally free. Anybody else wants to add something to this? See, I can run this whole thing as a workshop, only one way speaking, and that's okay with me. But I want you to kind of share and participate, so that would be good. But if you don't, I can run it exactly like a workshop, so I don't have a problem with it.
One of the things is that, when you have a certain belief, either fundamentalist or liberal, and you are afraid to change your beliefs, for what your community or society will think, like you are a traitor or betrayal or something like that.
Yeah, some of those things which we carry, like our belief systems are the basis on which we are actually creating judgment. We truly believe this is right, this is wrong, and based on that we judge other people. We hold people accountable that, hey, he's not doing this is right, he's doing this is wrong. So those kind of things comes from our deep down belief systems. Anybody else? Somebody was trying to say anything?
About our negative thoughts, free from our negative thoughts.
Exactly, yeah. Negative thoughts are a big part of it. And negative thoughts have roots in these judgments when you have this right and wrong. So your mind is actually running when your reality is not in sync with what you really think inside. So outside is different, inside is different. Then your mind would actually run, here, this is how it should be. This is why it is not happening. So all of those things would create these thoughts if you're holding any of these judgments. So let's see, what is the signs when you are actually free? So first of all, very simple, if you're free from all of these behaviors, so you are free from judgment, you're not judging other people, you are more compassionate in understanding this person might have some story going on, some of their drama going on, they might be in a difficult situation. So that's how they are behaving. That's why they are behaving the way they are behaving. You don't jump into the right and wrong. Oh, this is right. That's why that this is how it should be. This is how it should not be. You refrain from jumping to conclusion without really understanding the whole situation. And at the same time, you are not perfectionist in a way, like you're spending too much time and energy to look good. And certain cultures have big importance on looking good, like everything should look good, because you're socially tied culturally, like, hey, like uh, like societies like India, like where everything has to look good because a lot of your credibility, a lot of your respect is tied with how people think about you. So those kind of things would actually create a lot of bondage there. So if you really see, when we are listening to the Murli in the morning, when we are going through the meditation class, in some way or other, whatever we are being taught is to refrain from all of these things, because ultimately the more we are caught up into it, the bigger our prison becomes. And the bigger our prison becomes, no matter then we would be doing meditation on one end, but on the other side we will not be able to fully enjoy the freedom which we really want, because we are caught up at this level. So my goal here is, when I'm talking to you here, is to go a little bit deeper rather than staying at the surface level, to really understand what are the different prisons we are in at all these different levels, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. And then how do we become free? So give some tools to you to really, one, to evaluate where you are, second, to really see how we can overcome them. And my goal here is, by going into a little bit of depth, is not to make anybody feel bad about, like, oh, I have this, I have that. No, I don't want you to feel guilty or bad about it. I want you to become aware about it. And as you become aware and look from a place of openness, that what exactly I need to do, where am I caught, am I more judgmental? Am I more caught up into right and wrong? Am I looking for perfection and all of that? Everybody knows inside your own heart what is right and what is not right, what is true for you or not. And we all have different uh, percentages of all of them running inside us. So this is around mental freedom. Okay. So let's go to emotional freedom. What does emotional freedom really means? Anybody would like to share what does emotional freedom means? When you're
To,
emotionally free, how does it feel?
to be not affected by uh, outside circumstances or situations.
Right. You're not affected by outside circumstances and situations. Yeah.
When we are not thinking a lot.
Yeah. So when we are not thinking a lot, yeah. So if you're not thinking, you're not creating a lot of emotions. That's
Yes.
true.
Yeah. And not getting hurt, like thinking about that. Oh, he said this to me. He said this to me. It's okay. It's their own scars. So not to get hurt very easily. Become ineffective.
So all of you, what you mentioned is true, but you all talked about thinking, right? Not to think negatively, not to think this way. Thinking is part of what? Thinking is part of mental, right? This part, your mental part, your mental body. When we come to emotion, there is a difference, right? That's why it's called mental, and that is why it's called emotional. There are two different things. That's why there is different definition of it.
When we have some prejudices, like if we see someone of a different race or different religion, some of us may have a certain prejudice and we might emotionally feel uncomfortable.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. So emotions is how you feel in a particular situation, in a particular company, or even when you are by yourself. So, uh, so when you talk about emotional freedom, what it really means is freedom to feel what you want to
To
feel.
be
Whenever,
happy or sad.
yes, yeah, those are part of it, absolutely. So freedom to feel what you want to feel, whenever you want to feel, irrespective of whatever is going around. So you should have that level of emotional freedom. So you are in a situation where everybody is very stressed, very anxious, like in the current situation where we are. But you do not allow yourself to get into the same level of anxiety, same level of stress as the people are around you. So you are able to create a very stable, very unshakable state, emotional state, so that the outside things, first of all, outside things do not impact you. Second, as your power, emotional power increases more and more, your emotional state, your energy is able to influence people around you. So even though there is somebody very negative, who always thinks negative, who has a negative attitude, but when they come in front of you, even if they come for 5 minutes, for those that 5 minutes, they can feel your happiness, they can feel your joy, and it creates transformation in them, even just for 5 minutes. Even when they walk out, they again go back to the same thing. They are again the same negative person, same whatever negative emotions. But when they're in front of you, they get influenced positively by your positive emotions. So that is the power which you have to create. So first stage is like when people get affected by everybody, what's happening around them. That's number one stage. They have no control over their own emotional freedom. Second, they do not get affected by anybody else, which is whatever is happening around emotionally. Number three, they're so strong, so powerful that whoever comes in front of them, their state also changes, their emotional state also changes based on what is your emotional state if you're very powerful. And then the fourth stage is you are naturally in that state that you're expressing, expanding your emotional energy all over so that no matter whoever needs it, they feel it. So that's the stage which we are trying to build. But I have to first check where I am. Am I number one, where I'm getting impacted by other people? Number two, I'm stable. Number three, I'm influencing other people. And number four, I'm just giving away freely, not naturally to everybody that wherever they are, as soon as they think about me, they become free emotionally. So signs that you are free is you will be in flow and in lightness. So there would be natural flow and lightness. That doesn't mean, let me come to that. And they're free from triggers, which means somebody says something to them, somebody talks about them, somebody uses some kind of words against them. None of them, none of those situations, none of those things can trigger you. And you would not feel a sense of controlling other people, other situations. You would be like trusting that whatever is happening for good. You're free from controlling the outcomes. And most of the times, if we really see, what we are trying to do is we are trying to control whoever is controlling a lot. They have a controlling nature, and we all have some level of controlling nature or other. Some has more, some has less. But what we are trying to control is trying to control the outcomes. So what are the outcomes? You're trying to, like, even you're trying to control how your partner should behave. You're trying to control how your kids should behave. You're trying to control how your neighbor should behave. You're trying to control how people around the world should behave. So all of these are happening in a place where you are not free. Because if you can control the outcomes, what is going to happen? Your life would be comfortable. You would be feeling better. So you would emotionally be feeling happy. You would emotionally be not feeling angry or stressed or all of those things. So when you are when you're trying to control, you're trying to control your outcomes, trying to control everything outside of you so that you can feel happy, safe, whatever it is you really want to do. Which means uh, inside of you there's so much of emotional stuff which is there, which gets triggered by different people, different situation, different circumstances, and we all have it in different times. With certain people we are absolutely okay, but we all have that one person in our life, and we all think like, if this person goes away my life would be very joyful, I would be very happy, because that person in some way or other triggers you in some way or form, that that you feel that they take away your peace, they take away your happiness. So something about them is creating that kind of thing. So which means you're not completely emotionally free. And in some ways, because that person is the one who creates those triggers for you, that who creates those issues for you, you're bonded to that person. And what we are learning on day-to-day basis in the knowledge is, how do I become emotionally free? How do I let go and trust? That's the bigger lesson which we are trying to do. If this last line, free from controlling the outcomes, this is one of the lines which is in Gita, In Hindi, the way it is said is, "Tu कर्म किए जा और फल की चिंता मत कर." The reason is you become free from controlling the outcomes. You enjoy what you really need to do so that you can be emotionally free and ultimately trust whatever is going to happen is going to happen for the best. So if you're not emotionally free, which also means, which reflects that your trust in one of these things is not 100%. So either you don't trust yourself, and what I mean you don't trust yourself is you don't trust that you have enough skills, enough resources, enough power to take care of your own life, to find solutions to the challenges which are coming in your life. Or you don't trust that life is working for you. You run into problems, and as you run into problems, you question, hey, why this is happening with me? Like instead of asking the other question, which is like, what is there for me to learn? You start uh, you start looking into drama or in life what could create more challenge, and you're always on the defensive, like, hey, I shouldn't talk to this person, I should go there because something bad would happen, or you're worried too much, which means you don't trust the drama or the life, or you don't trust higher power or God. So your trust is lacking in one of these places. That's why you're trying to control the outcomes. Because if you trust yourself that, hey, you have enough tools, enough knowledge, enough support, and you trust that, hey, no matter what's happening, whatever challenges are coming, I'm going to ultimately win. I'm ultimately going to be in a good place. Life is actually working for me even through these challenges, whatever it is throwing. And then I also know that God is there to take care of me, or the higher power is there to help me become better or grow, all of those things. Then you can actually fully trust and move forward. So all the spiritual knowledge somebody has, whatever philosophy somebody follows, a very simple and clear sign of that is how much they trust in all of these 3 things. And if they are not trusting and they are in controlling place, then what it really means is they have a lot of knowledge, but their sense of trust in any of these things, one of these things, or all of them, is not 100%, or they don't trust at all. And when you don't do that, then you would not be emotionally free, because then situations would happen. Somebody would say something, somebody would comment something, even though they don't intend, but you understand it in a different way. Or if you run into a challenge, it would take away your happiness, it would take away your joy, it would take away your freedom. And when I talk about freedom here to be in flow and lightness, what I really mean is that you are not coming from a place of judgment, as we talked into the mental freedom, that, oh, I should not be feeling sad, I should not be feeling grief, I should not be feeling any of those things. So now all of these things should not be this, should not be that. Then what you do is, so if you lose somebody, a very natural part of loss is that you would feel sad, but you suppress it because you feel, oh, I should not feel sad because this is wrong or whatever it is. So then you suppress it. Then the more you keep on suppressing, what's going to happen? The more you're adding to your baggage. It's like you don't want to deal with it, or you have this judgment, I should not be uh, feeling this way. Then you suppress those feelings. And when you suppress those feelings, then you cannot be light. You are carrying that baggage. It's like you put your room is dirty, but you don't want other people to come and see it. You put all your stuff in your cupboard. You fill your cupboard and close it. That you don't see it, other people don't see it. Your room looks clean. But the natural thing is that when the cupboard becomes overcrowded, it overflows. Then one day you open and everything falls out, and now it's a bigger mess you have to deal with. So flow is you're allowing everything, whatever is happening, to flow through you. You're allowing yourself to feel without judgments, without criticism, without feeling bad, without feeling guilty. That means you're feeling all the good things, happiness, joy, pleasure, lightness, but at the same time, you're also allowing the sadness to go through. You're also allowing the grief to go through without holding on to it. It's like sometimes all of you would have noticed that when you are sad and then you cry from your heart, not like that kind of crying. You're talking to whoever comes, what happened, you start crying and you keep on telling the same story. I'm not talking about that kind of thing. What I'm talking about is like when you really feel deep inside and you cry and you let it all go, you feel light. There is a joy, there is a lightness that you let it go. And that's what I'm talking about. You're not resisting anything what's happening. So when you don't resist all of these difficult emotions, then naturally you would come to the happy, joyful emotions which are part of you, which is part of your original state. So I hope this is clear. Anybody would like to ask any questions or want to share something quickly around it before I move on? I just want to make sure everybody's good with this.
What about when you would like to uh, caution or advise someone, but you are afraid to do that for fear of offending or hurting someone's feelings? So in a way, you don't keep that freedom to flow or express yourself.
So the bigger question here is, and that's a very good thought. Like I don't want to advise or share because somebody would get offended, right?
Right.
Because you are being careful because you don't want to hurt them.
Right.
But then say sometimes like after a certain age, you can't tell too many things to your kids. For example, they are grown up, they can think. But when they are young, like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, it's your duty to take care of them. But if they're grown up, I'm just using this example of the kids. But if they're grown up and you tell them something and they get offended, uh, how does that impact you? Do you and I'm not saying that you tell them something in a wrong manner. You have said in a very polite manner
Right.
what you think is the right and everything, but they get offended.
Right.
How does that impact you? How does that affect you?
Well, then they will not be our friend anymore, or something.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Or they won't like you,
Right.
or whatever it is. So if you really see the other side of the story, somewhere I also have that that desire that I want to be friends with them, which is a great desire, but friendship is both ways, right? And as a part of friendship, you need to be honest in that.
Listen.
So when that is not happening, that means they are not ready to be honest with you. They just want a friend who can always tell them everything is right with you, you are great or whatever it is, but you don't want to be honest, you don't want to be truthful with them.
Right.
So first of all, in itself, it's not a healthy relationship in there, right?
Right.
Because if you're afraid to share the truth with your loved one in a relationship, that means that relationship is already on a slippery slope. But on the other hand, if you are scared that if I share with them and they would stop liking me, they would stop talking to me, then what's going to happen to me? Which means I would be left alone or I won't be liked. Then that is my internal struggle. I'm still looking for validation from other people, right? I'm still looking to be liked by other people. And there is nothing wrong in it. We all are in relationship. We all want to be accepted. We all want to be loved. We want to share the love. But at the same time, that should not be the only source of our emotional freedom or our happiness. My happiness is my happiness. It's coming from my inside. Other people, when they appreciate me, they love me, accept me, it's like a bonus. But that's not the real income. Real income is what I'm doing by my own effort, by my own state. Does that make it clear?
Yes.
No, can you tell it again?
So what I'm saying is, when I'm scared of sharing, so I'm just using whatever the question he asked, that when I'm scared of sharing honestly with somebody any advice or their behavior, if it's not wrong or if they are going to do something which would create loss, and I'm scared to do that, then I have to see why I'm scared. So one part is definitely I'm scared because I fear they would retaliate, right? They would be angry or whatever it is. So if they're angry, whatever it is, and you are being honest, you should be happy that you are telling a truth to that other person for their benefit. But if you get upset because they get angry, then somewhere you do not have the stability to face somebody's anger. That's one part. The second part is, if you have the fear that they are going to stop talking to you, stop loving you, stop accepting you, stop inviting you for the party or whatever it is, what would happen to me? I would be left alone, or I hate being disliked, or then again, this is all your set of problems. That means you're already in emotional bondage in that relationship. Uh, and and if we talk about a healthy relationship, what are the signs of healthy relationship? Anybody would like to share what are the signs of healthy relationship?
Share everything.
Share everything honestly, right?
Yeah.
There's no fear.
There is no fear.
Yeah.
What else? There is mutual respect.
Yeah.
There is mutual love.
Love.
This is not happening. That means it's already not a healthy relationship. It's a bondage, right? So whatever.
But sometimes we want to keep that relation because that is very important relation, and we have to tell them, but they are just rude, or everything goes wrong. Then what should we do?
So again, it comes to this thing which we are talking about. You are trying to control the outcomes, and you cannot control the outcomes. So as a parent, after a certain age, your kids don't need you the way you want them to be. You want yourself to be needed. They don't want the same mom as when they were 5-6 years old. So your job is to share honestly, and you might get offended, but at the same time, you're not in charge of their destiny. You're in charge of your destiny. And whenever you're trying to do this, you're trying to control the outcome.
Not control, but keep everything nice, happy.
Then the easy way is you share very politely in a very loving manner, whatever is the truth, whatever you think is the right thing, and then you let it go, whether they choose to follow it or not. It's fine. Like for example, somebody you really love eats a lot of sugar, right? And eating a lot of sugar is not good for health. You tell them one time, you tell them twice. Now they start getting upset. Like what it has to do with you that every time I eat, you poke at me, right? You point some kind of a comment on me. and it upsets them, it upsets you. Then next time they eat, you do the same thing. How long you're going to tell them? They're not kids, right? So
Yes.
if they're kids, that's a different thing. And you
Yes.
know, if he or she would continue to eat the sugar, at one point
Yes.
of time, he or she is going to have diabetes. But what
Yes.
control you have if he or she doesn't listens to you or doesn't do the right thing, right?
But like
Yes.
I have a question, like everybody is so intelligent in now this world. So nobody needs any type of suggestion or any advice or any sweet advice because everybody is so intelligent. So who are us to tell to anybody? We just can take care of ourselves. Now why to take care of others?
Exactly. Like uh, anybody, okay, I know some people here do not understand Hindi, but so let me speak in English. Even if you go to a homeless person and tell him something, he's going to use his head and say like, why you're telling me this? Instead of you're telling him something for his benefit, but he would think by himself that I should do this rather than what you're telling me. So he is going to use his own head. And even though you're telling him for his own or her own benefit, so now your original intention was to go and tell somebody something good so that it can benefit them, right? So that they have a better life, better future, whatever it is. But now you whatever you told, they didn't listen to you. Then second, they might get upset with you, and or they never follow your advice, no matter how many times you tell. And all of these things, they don't listen to you, they get upset with you, or they retaliate. That makes you upset. But your original intention was to help them, to make them better person or whatever it is. But now you're upset. So who needs advice now to bring back your happiness? You need the advice, right? So why
Yes.
you get yourself trapped into something where now you lose your happiness and now you need advice to come back and become free.
Yes.
So, and I'm telling you this thing because see, I am a life coach. I can when I'm in close relationship with people, I work with people, I know exactly what their issues are. And sometimes seeing the capacity of the person that whether they have the capacity to listen to truth or not, I sometimes give them hints, sometimes give them some suggestions. And if I see there is an opportunity, somebody is open, I go into deeper conversation and tell them. But if I know that person is not going to listen, I would never give them advice. First of all, people pay me for the advice, and then I give them free advice and they get upset with me. That's not a very intelligent thing to do, right?
Yes.
So I let them go through their journey the way they are going through because one simple reason, because I trust in drama for my own life and their own life. The more you trust your own life's drama, your own life's journey, to the same level you trust somebody else's journey, their own drama. Maybe they have to go through certain difficult experiences and challenges to really learn what they have to learn. And that is the only way they want to learn. They don't want to learn by somebody telling them. So you have to trust their journey, but you can only trust somebody else's journey if you can trust your journey. And that's a very simple fundamental rule. So
Yes.
I leave them with all the good wishes in my heart that hey, I'm still here when you need me, but I'm not going to come and intervene in your life and in your life's drama, in your life cycle. And I trust that you would learn whatever lesson you have to learn in your own life. And sometimes they might not learn in this life, but that is not up to me, right? So that is true for anybody you're in relationship with.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's wonderful to hear.
Vivek Pai, can I say something?
Yes, sure, go ahead.
In my family life, I see that the children are adults now, so they won't listen to you as you say. They will not listen to you. So I know, but you do see that they need some kind of guidance, but I wait for the right time. I don't tell them when I feel I have to tell them. So
Exactly.
when the right time comes, they come to me and ask me. That's the time when I tell them. That's it. And
That's,
it solves everything.
yeah, exactly. And that's a very intelligent to do it.
Yeah.
See, in one of the Murlis, uh, it was said that if you really want the result which you desire, there are three things which has to be in alignment. Your bhav, your bhavana, and your sabhav. These three things has to be aligned. Say your partner gets angry or your kid gets angry. So your bhav or your intention is that they should be free from anger because anger is messes them up, messes their relationship. Your bhavna, which is your feeling.
Intention.
So bhav is the intention, bhavana is the feeling, which you're going through, is to see them happy, to see yourself happy, right? That's the relationship you want. And the swabhav is what you're going to tell. So your intention is good that they should not get angry because it creates a lot of mess, but you want them to have a happy, healthy relationship. But whenever they get angry, your bhavana, your feeling gets what? You get irritated, you get upset, you get frustrated because every time they get angry. So your bhav was okay, but your bhavana, which is your feelings, gets one of these, which is like all angry, upset, whatever it is, or irritated. And the way you tell them, which is your swabhav, is like every time you get angry, this is the wrong thing, you shouldn't do this. So now out of those three things, two are already out of alignment. Your bhav was okay, but your bhavna and your swabhav, which is your feelings and your behavior, were not accurate. And that's why you won't get the result, whatever you're trying to do it for the other person or whatever advice you're trying to give. So if you really want good result, first of all, your intention is good. All of our intentions are good. 99% of us people, right? 100% who are here. But the way you let go of your stage, which is your bhavna, your feelings, your good wishes, now they get tarnished because it affects you. Their behavior affects you in some way. But the way you communicate it to them, your swabhav, is even worse, right? You're never going to get the result which you really want. So that's why emotional freedom is about intention is right, but how do I become master of my emotional freedom? How do we be free? And then how do I communicate? Just like you were saying that you choose the right moment to express what needs to be expressed and advise. That is the best way to do it, so that you communicate to them when they are most open to listen to you. Does it make sense? So those three things has to be in alignment. Otherwise you won't get the result which you really want. And even after doing all of this, bottom line is you have to trust these three things. Otherwise, they would receive it, but it's not their time to really implement it. They have to go through certain other experiences to implement it. Good. So let's move to the next step. Okay. So then finally comes spiritual freedom. So what is the spiritual freedom really means truly? Anybody would like to share what does spiritual freedom means?
Spiritual freedom.
We talked about mental freedom. We talked about emotional freedom. This is spiritual freedom.
Freedom from physical attachment.
And that is one of them. What else?
Being in control of your mind.
Being in control of your mind. How is that related to spiritual freedom?
Because it's all in the mind at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's true. It's all in the mind.
Like
So,
if you train your mind, and then only you can, I mean, you can train your mind to obey, and then only you can go ahead in spirituality. That's just my opinion. I don't know. It may be wrong.
that's okay. We are discussing. So there is no right or wrong answer. We are just discussing so that we are all learning from each other. So spiritual freedom is you're free from all the identities, right? You could have mental freedom where you're not judgmental, you're not this, that, whatever we talked about. You also have emotional freedom. You don't get upset with somebody. You'll allow, you trust and all that. But the bigger part, the next level of this freedom is spiritual freedom, where you're free from identity. And free from identity is you're free from any kind of limitations, like the family which you're coming from, the religion you are coming from, the culture you are coming from. It's like so physicality has a limitation, mentality has a limitation, emotions have a limitation. They all could be limited. But spirituality is above all of this, which is like you're coming into a realm which is unlimited. You are not caught up into any of these things. So think of physical body, mental body, emotional body, all of these parts as different filters. When you're operating through them, you're still operating through a filter, even though you're using the right side of the filter, right? You're not judgmental, you're open, but at a mental level, you're still operating in certain level with some certain limitation of whatever it is. I'm this. So for example, I'm just using an example. In old times, I'm a Rajput, right? And Rajput, once they give their word, they never take it back, right? So you are still doing the right thing. You would go to the war, you would, because you have given your word, you would die for your word, but still you are tied to the identity of a Rajput, right? For example. So similarly, you could be tied to different identities depending on wherever you're coming from. But once you are in a spiritual freedom, you let go of all of those identities. You come to a place where you are unlimited, unlimited. So somebody's mic is on. So if you are not talking, you can mute it. So there is no disturbance. And at the same time, you think at a level of the soul. Everybody's a soul. No country, no boundaries, no limitations, which are all created at a physical level, emotional level, mental level. And at the same time, because you're free, you're able to access all the different qualities of the soul. The basic fundamental qualities of the soul, which are 7: peace, purity, happiness, power, knowledge, bliss, love. All these are 7 basic qualities of the soul, which are easily accessible to all of you. And at the same time, because you're free, you're you're free to even see your own blind spots, which means your own weaknesses, your own limitations. You're so unlimited that you can see your own limitations where you're not free, without judgment, without guilt, without feeling bad about it. Does it make sense? So this place, in other words, you can call it soul consciousness, because in the soul conscious stage, who you are, you're a soul. You're not tied to any physical, mental, emotional constructs or any identities. You're so unlimited that all you're doing is you are accessing your base soul qualities, which is peace, purity, happiness, power, knowledge, all of them, and using it on day-to-day basis. You're also aware that what you have to work on, but coming from a place of openness, coming from a place of unlimitedness, and working on it. Because a lot of us here, we are here because we are interested to become better individual. That's why you're joining meditation. That's why you're joining the workshops. So certain parts of you, which only you know, which needs improvement, right? Means like somebody has some anger problem, somebody has some other problem. These are the areas which you are aware of, that these are your weaknesses. Then there is another part which you're not even aware of, which are your weaknesses, right? Which are called our blind spots. Sometimes other people can see it very well. Especially your family members can see it very well, right? What are the issues with you? What are the challenges with you? And they exactly know what buttons to press. So there is a saying that, there's an old saying that say, like, if you think you're enlightened, you should go and spend 2 weeks with your family members or with your family. You would exactly know if you're enlightened or not, because your family exactly knows what buttons to press, what blind spots to trigger, so that you get upset, and in the end, you can use those situations to realize, how should I become a better person? So spiritual freedom is to be free from all the constructs, physical, mental, emotional, and all of those things, so that ultimately you can enjoy the beauty of the soul. You can enjoy the original qualities by implementing it, by enhancing your life, by enhancing everybody else's life who is around you. Does it make sense? Anybody would like to share anything?
I was thinking that, when you, at least one concept of meditation is that you stop your thought process, you kind of concentrate on some object, flower or a lamp or something like that. And so you basically cut out all your normal material, thoughts. And, so you kind of get into that soul consciousness type of spiritual uh, level or something. So, that's my kind of thinking about, getting into that spiritual mode. But then what happens is, when you get out of that meditation, or sometimes, we think of prayer, the prayer also makes us feel something like that. So when you get out of that, you go out again into the material world, you are again subject to all the temptations and all the other thoughts, that normally come to you. So the question will be, how do we kind of carry over what we feel like in meditation into our day-to-day life kind of thing.
That's a very good question, because this is exactly what we are going to talk about, right? So the question is, what doesn't allow us to be free? And what do you think? What doesn't allow us to be free, to get into that unlimited state, to be free mentally, free emotionally, free spiritually? What do you think is the blockage here?
Well, there are some expectations of our family members, our our friend circles, our work colleagues, a certain image that we feel like we have to keep up. So unless we are willing to break off from these kind of other relationships, you kind of your freedom is constrained, I think, because of that.
So I'm just having a conversation with you, not to question you.
Right.
So what are the expectations? Tell me.
Well, for example, family members may have certain things that, you have to be obedient and you must not speak before you are spoken to. Certain cultural things might be there also in society. Uh, and, at work, you may have some expectation from your boss, uh, about work. Hours, work, style, what have you,
Yeah.
those kind of things. There's just some example.
So, see, it's not mutually exclusive that in order to be free, you you cannot meet other people's expectation also. What we are talking about this freedom is the internal freedom. That no matter what people are expecting from us, first of all, we are most important thing is I'm true to myself. I'm actually uh, I'm actually staying true to what my path is. And then the second expectation, when I'm going to work and I'm working with the boss, and boss has a certain expectation, I should work this. Some bosses want to be over communicated, some bosses want to be under communicated. You need to understand what the boss really wants. And in those situations, you need to be clear what you can do, what you cannot do. And some basic expectations are met. Most of the people are okay with it. But what you really need to see is what is it, because see, we as human beings are very much driven by one thing, which is this fear. So what would happen if I don't do this? What would happen if I don't do that?
Right.
And underlying that thing, that fear, is the real story which is going on. That if I don't do this, this would happen. And everybody has their own laundry list. I won't be liked. I won't have this. I won't have that. All of those things are there, and those are the things which are actually driving our life on day-to-day basis. So, and big part of it is like in the past, whenever you have done certain things in a certain way, and you did not get the desired result, you felt sad, or you felt hurt, or you felt betrayed, or whatever it is. Those parts are not healed inside you. You're still carrying your past hurts, past pain, part of past whatever it is, and the last thing you want is to repeat those experiences again. uh, and because if those experiences come again, you're going to go through all of those same things again. It pains, it really pains when you get hurt. You don't want to be betrayed again. Some of the things you hold yourself up guilty, that, oh, why did I trusted that person so much and he broke my trust. So now you have this problem around trusting other people, because once you trusted, they broke your heart. So similarly, a lot of things from the past has not been healed. So when that is there, it's like they're sitting inside. When you meditate, you let go all of these things which are inside, and you connect and go and connect with God and connect with the unlimited. And for that moment of time, you feel a lot of joy, a lot of bliss. But once you come back into the physical world, your emotions, your energy are still sitting there. They have not been let go. They have not been healed. They are not resolved. So when you come back, the reality is there. So when the reality is there, with these emotions are your fears, everything which is sitting there. So you're not going to feel completely free. And within that, fears, fill in the blanks, whatever the fear is, fear of being rejected by your loved ones, fear of being not respected by your loved ones, fear of whatever it is, between that fear and between the emotions and energy of the past unresolved stuff, it creates a lot of havoc. And that's why it's very hard for us to free ourselves from whatever we are trying to do. And ultimately, another thing is, if we cannot feel safe by ourselves, safe means physically safe, mentally safe, emotionally safe, and spiritually safe. If we cannot feel safe in some way or other, we are going to give into other people's desires, situations, circumstances, because as human being, our fundamental need is safety. I want to feel safe. If I'm not safe, then what is going to happen? I'm going to die, right? And it's not just physical death. Sometimes it's just emotional death. The pain, the trauma which you go through. So if I don't feel safe, then I'm going to look for things which would make me feel safe. For example, uh, you really don't want to be rejected by your loved ones or your friends or whatever it is. So you always want to be there. You want to be needed. We want to be wanted. So you would always go and do things to be nice to people, so that if you're nice, people would love you, people would reciprocate or give you whatever it is. And because being rejected by your loved ones is a lot of trauma, a lot of pain, and it makes you very emotionally unsafe here. So you would do everything. You would say yes when you should be saying no. You say no when you should be saying yes, because all you want to do is to be accepted, to be loved, to be fill in the blanks, whatever it is, to feel safe. And as a human being, if we don't do that, then we feel that we are out of control. We don't feel safe. And that is a death at whatever level, not physical level, but at emotional level. Physical safety, I'm not even talking about it. Like if somebody is there to come and hit you or trying to really harm you, you should not be there. You should run away from that situation. But in this places where your internal mechanism is running to counter your unsafety because you haven't developed enough power, that's number one, and enough trust that you could deal with all of these rejections and all of that, then you're going to do the things where whether whether you want it or not, you would always end up playing lower than who you are to meet other people's expectation, because you don't want to offend people, you don't want people to mistrust you, whatever is the thing which you really want underlying all the things which we are doing, that's what's going to come into play. So when we are caught up into this energy, we cannot be truly free. So we can label it in a different way. Like for example, like if a child comes a little bit late to home and he or she's a grown up, and the mother is really upset that, hey, why do you come so late, like you said 10 o'clock and it's 11:30 and you haven't called me and all of those things. And I'm not saying that child should not communicate, they should communicate, but if they have come late and they have communicated also, the mother is actually very upset. And you say like, why are you so upset, why are you not sleeping? I should have come. I already told you I would come a little bit late. You should be in your bed. But you said, no, I was worried about you. And it's like, why are you worried? And the mother says, I'm worried because I love you. So in that moment, what mother has said is, love is equal to worry. But what do you think love is really in life? If you are in love with somebody, if you love somebody, what should be the feeling? What you should be feeling in that moment?
Give them their space and freedom.
You should feel that freedom, you should feel that openness, you should feel that joy, you should feel all of these things. The last thing you should be feeling is worry, right? Or anxiety. So which means what the mother is saying is, she's worried because she loves you is inaccurate. What she's trying to say under the love is, the worry is coming because she's attached that something might happen and all of those kind of things. Then she's still attached to the outcome which she wants it in a certain way. And here, the kid's behavior in some way has created fear, triggered a fear in her that something might happen, the outcome might be different, which is undesired. So that created that kind of a fear, that kind of a worry in it. And ultimately, even though it's all her good wishes, but at the end of the day, she's still going through. The bhav was accurate. The bhavana was worry. The behavior was more worrisome and more anxious. So ultimately, what's going to happen to that relationship? That relationship is not going to be on a healthy term. The next time the kid would stop talking or stop communicating clearly or start avoiding or start lying, and that's where we get caught up into it because we are not free. If we are not free, people around us would feel suffocated around us. So what is really keeping us from being free is our own fears. So when you get into soul consciousness, you naturally, for whatever period you get into soul consciousness, you naturally become free of fear at physical level, mental level, emotional level. When you're free, you become unlimited at a spiritual level. So that's what soul consciousness is all about. But at the same time, soul consciousness doesn't mean that you do not deal with the things which are already there. You do not deal with the issues which are already there, and you just sit and meditate. You can't meditate your way out of it. And meditation, that's why we are talking about this freedom through meditation, because we have to apply meditation in the right way, not in the wrong way. So whenever you feel upset, you just go, and I would sit and meditate, and for the time you're meditating, everything is good. When you come back, everything is the same back there. Now you go through the same pain. So the life is happening. It's an action field. It's a karma kshetra. So in which you have to keep on doing your karma to free yourself. Through karma, you're going to become free. Meditation is the guidance. Meditation is the space to receive power so that you can come back and continue with your life, applying that power so that you can become free through your karma, not the other way around, where you're a sannyasi or you're a hermit, you're sitting in a jungle, leaving all the karma so that you can become free. So I hope that makes it clear. So what we are going to do is we are going to do a small exercise. The exercise is simple to help you understand a little bit more about what's going in the background or underneath. Okay. So you can sit relaxed. You're welcome to close your eyes or keep it open, whatever works for you. But I'm going to do a little bit of a guided meditation. And this is not, I'm not going to do a guided meditation to do Raj Yoga, but I'm going to do a guided meditation to help you check few of the things within your own self. Okay. So you can sit, if you want to close your eyes, that helps you better. That's great. So sit, relax, feel your feet on the ground. If they're on the ground, or feel your back supported by the chair, or if you are sitting on the couch, whatever it is, just feel comfortable. Sit a little bit with your spine erect so the energy can flow. And we are going to take few deep breaths first, okay? So take a deep breath in and let it go. Take another deep breath in and let it go. Take another deep breath in and let it go. And just drop in, just enjoy in this moment what you're here to do, which is being present. Check what's going on with your mind. Is your mind here or going somewhere? If it's going somewhere, just gently bring it back in this moment by focusing on your breath, that you could be easy. So I want to invite you to think of a time in your past when you were going through a very strong emotion, like anger, for example, right? When was the last time you felt a lot of anger in your life? It could be yesterday, it could be a week before, or it could be 20 years back. So think of a time when when you had this strong emotion of anger. And think of, as you think of that time, check what situation, what it was when you got really angry. And when you were angry, what were you feeling inside? And where did you felt that anger, that energy of anger? Did you felt it in your chest, in your throat, in your neck, in your abdomen? Where did you felt that? And some of you, if you can access it, you can naturally feel it where it was. And use, I don't want you to feel or good or bad about it. It's just an exercise to check what's going on, what was going on. So what were the thoughts which were going on when you were having this experience, this emotion of anger? So when you were, say, when you were angry, were you blaming yourself? Were you blaming somebody else? Or you were blaming a situation? What were you doing in that moment? And you can even listen to what was the words which were being used, like your own internal thoughts. And what did you said in that moment when you experienced this emotion? So if you were resentful about something, did you said something which was hurtful? Or did somebody said something to you which was hurtful and you got really, really angry about that? And how did you behave in that moment? Did you really explode it? Did you shout it out at somebody? Like you really use some words which you shouldn't have used? But I'm not asking you to judge those words, but what was the behavior in that moment? Or did you shut yourself up? Means like you didn't said anything to anybody, you just closed, shut down, you went to your own room, you didn't said anything at all. Maybe you were fearing that if you say something, somebody else would get upset or somebody else would get more angry, or you didn't want to break the relationship, whatever it was. Or you just went to your own room and didn't talk to anybody. So what was your behavior in that moment? So if you knew that your emotion, that moment, whatever you're feeling was a message from your inside, like something to look more deeper. And now as you have looking back into the past and you know better right now, like because you're out of that situation, what would you have changed, like the way you said something or your behavior in that moment that would have been different? Knowing that, hey, something got triggered and the message in that was this, what was the bigger picture? What would you have said differently or what you would have done differently? And as you look back at that situation, look back at that whole thing, how do you feel in this moment? Do you still feel little angry, a lot angry? Do you feel okay with it? Do you feel, uh, wow, that was a good learning experience? You feel neutral about it, whatever it is. And one is not better than other, it's just for observation. How do you feel about it in this moment as you look back at that situation? And whatever is the answer, nothing right, nothing wrong, it is what it is right now in this moment. So take a deep breath in and let it go. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. If your eyes were closed, you come back with with this experience, with this understanding. So anybody would like to share briefly, how do you feel right now?
I'm feeling better.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. And I thought that that time I should take different steps to deal with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess everybody would have done the same thing if I asked them now. Anybody else would like to share anything? So another thing to notice is like, do you still have little anger from that situation? You okay with it or whatever it is? That's the main thing which I want you to notice. And one is not better than other. It is what it is. So anybody else would like to share very quickly?
Yes,
But
I'm
Yeah.
still
Okay.
angry.
What is it? Go ahead.
I'm still angry at that situation.
Okay, that's very good. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else?
Yeah, I feel, like whatever had happened, it was in the past, and now, like, I'm out of it. So I feel okay. At least now I'm out of it, and I'm happy about it. Yeah.
Okay,
and
good.
I'm regret that why should I do that? I'm regretting and blaming myself why I did that.
Okay. So again, good checking, good awareness that this is what you're feeling, you're regretting it. Somebody said they are still a little angry. Some people said they are okay with it. All of these are good. So the reason I went through this exercise to tell you this thing is to make you aware about a particular situation, that when that anger happened, where did you felt it? Because your body was involved in that moment. So any emotion which you go through, you
Yeah,
can.
I feel at that time my head was full of blood and the shoulder is all squeezed and pain. Something wrong with my upper body.
Right. Yeah. So see, your body is such an intelligent system. Like even this would have happened a year back or whatever it is, or
Yeah,
even.
22 years back.
So see, your body has a memory. It keeps the memory, right?
Yes.
The second thing is that I asked you what were the thoughts around it. What were you thinking? Because if there is an emotion, there are thoughts around it. There is a story around it, right? The third thing is what do you think about it? What do you feel about it in this moment? And the reason I asked you to feel about it is, see, if you, and again, the idea is not to make anybody feel bad about anything. We are just practically exercising here so we can look into it in a more objective, better way so that we can become free. So there are no judgments here. So,
I want to say sorry for that to that person now.
okay, we can come to that. Say, if you feel neutral about it, for example, you feel like you look at it and you can almost look at it at a distance, like it doesn't feel like I was there. It just feels like a little bit of a dream. You're very neutral about it. There is no emotional charge. That
Yeah.
means that thing is healed. Okay, to a great.
Okay.
That's number one. If you look at the same situation and because you have learned something from it, you have forgiven yourself and you think about it and you look at it like probably that was a good thing to happen in that moment because I learned something from it. And because you have learned something from it or whatever it is, you feel very grateful about it. You feel happy about it. Hey, that was something which helped me grow, which means you have really healed fully on that.
Okay.
But if you have some of the residue left where you still feel it in your shoulder, on your chest, there is a little bit of regret, there's a little bit of upset or whatever it is, that means that emotion, that emotional energy is still sitting in your system. And as long as it is sitting, then similar situation would come that would get triggered. You know, that past experience would get triggered plus whatever is happening in this moment. So in that past emotion, past energy, All the score is duly noted inside your system at a mental, emotional, physical levels. The score is always kept inside. That's why in the end, when you're going to face the paper is going to come from where? One of these things, either your mind would deceive you, or your body would come into the terror or come into the anxiety because that is stored, or you would feel the same emotions again, whether it's regret or whatever it is. So our goal is to see what all that I'm carrying that is okay. So even if you say, I want to go back and say sorry to that person, great thing, you can go and say sorry. But once you say sorry, are you going to feel free from it? That's the bigger question. And they say other person would come and say, okay, whatever it is, I forgive you, but are you able to forgive yourself, or are you still going to keep the guilt with you? Because if you're going to keep the guilt and you're not able to forgive yourself, then the other person's forgiveness is just a small part of it. That energy still stays with you. That won't allow you to be fully free.
How to do that?
How to do that? That's a big topic. So I'm going to cover some parts of it today because it's a very deep thing. It took me some time to understand it myself, apply it, and then when I work with people one-on-one on coaching, so I really take them deeper into doing more deeper work in that sense. But here we have so many people, and everybody has a little bit of their individual flavor. So I'm going to cover at a broader level, give you some exercise so that you can really understand. So let's jump right into it. Okay. So before I jump into it, I want to ask you these general questions. So this cycle, you understand thoughts, emotions, and actions?
Yes.
So between thoughts and emotions, which is more powerful? Thoughts are more powerful or emotions are more powerful?
Thoughts.
Okay.
I think emotions.
Emotions. What else?
Both.
Both. Somebody played say both.
Neutral again. Emotional is powerful. Yeah.
Which is more powerful? What do you think?
Thoughts, because thoughts will lead
Thoughts.
to emotions and then the actions.
Then actions, yeah. And thoughts are there.
Let me ask you one thing. All of you know getting angry is not a good thing, right? Everybody knows that?
Yes.
When you get angry, where does that knowledge goes? When you're in the middle of anger, even though you know you should not be angry, where does that knowledge goes?
Emotion.
We forget that time.
Which means you're overtaken by your emotions.
Yeah.
So even though you have all the knowledge, but in that moment something happens, you can't think positively, you can't concentrate, including if you're in really, really bad anger, you even lose the language. It means you want to say something, but the words doesn't come, the right word doesn't come, right?
Yes.
So, which means the energy of the anger is much more stronger than the thoughts. But thoughts are also powerful because if you have the knowledge, you can use it to control it. And the reason is very simple. A lot of times people don't talk about it. You won't hear from other people. But when you are in the womb, when you are in womb for 9 months, 7, 8, 9 months, whatever it is, whatever you're learning from your mother is at a vibrational level. Whatever she's feeling, she's thinking, those vibrations get transformed, transitioned, or sent to you. So an imprint of vibrations are coming on you in the womb itself. There's a programming happening there. When you are born from 0 to 8, 9 years of age, everything which you are learning in this world is through feelings. If you feel happy, like if you feel safe, happy with your mother, your father, you jump to them. Like that's why you see when a mother shouts at the kid starts crying. But in the next moment, she says, "Oh, mera bacha, come, my child," and start loving. The next moment, child gets happy. Can you do it with a grown up? You shout at a grown up for a moment, and next moment say, "Oh, come, I love you." Would they listen?
No.
Not going to listen to you. Because the grown up would think, "What's wrong with this person? Just shouted at me, now she's saying, I love you." Something is seriously wrong. How could I trust that person? But when a child is growing, 0 to 8, 9 years, he's not thinking because his mental faculty hasn't developed in that. What he's feeling is, whatever he's doing is based on the feeling. He feels love, so he goes to the mother or the father. If he doesn't feel love, he starts crying. Like, so when father shouts at the mother, and the argument is happening between mother and father, but the child is there and he starts crying, right? Why does that happen? Have you seen that, right? Like when the father shouts at the mother or there's a fight, the child starts crying. The
Because
reason
of feeling
he's feeling unsafe in that moment.
unsafe. Yeah.
His safety is compromised. And that's why he starts crying. But when he's 8, 9 years old, then he starts asking questions, mother, why this? Dad, why this? Then his mental faculty is developing. So your first imprint is the vibrational, which is your mother's womb. Second is emotional. Then third is the mental. So your mind is still very powerful because after 8, 9 years old, you start looking at the world through the lens of your mind. You start understanding. That's why after 8, 9, your education gets a little more stronger, critical thinking. So your mind becomes more active. It's very powerful because you can make sense of things. But your base emotions, your raw emotions are still very powerful. And if you don't deal with them at a deeper emotional level, then it becomes difficult for to just use your mind to be free. That's why that's why the only reason when God says make all your relationship with me, the very reason he's asking you to do that is so that you develop the emotional connection with him, so that your emotions with him is coming from a place of healthy emotions, happiness, joy. So even though a lot of us may have not experienced the pure love from our own parents because our parents were probably busy earning money, whatever it is, they were not the ideal parents, whatever it is. But as God as a parent, as God as a child, as God, you can transform those emotions because you're transforming those emotions which are there, which were not in the originally were not the best of the healthiest emotions. So in that relationship, you can transform that emotions. Otherwise, you can think of God, you can talk about God, you can intellectualize God, everything, but it won't allow you to change your emotions. And that's why you won't become emotionally free. That's why even when you're meditating, you have to develop that relation, that connection to fall in love, So what is being told to me. So that's why emotions are very, very powerful, and you have to focus on that. Because ultimately, when you don't remember, like say, when God says your remembrance should become natural, right? So your yoga should become natural. So remembrance is what? It's emotion based, not intellectual based. So your mind would stop working properly at one point of time. You would forget things and all that. But emotionally, if you feel the love is always there. So that becomes more deeper memory. So that's why once you become emotionally free, your connection is there. You can feel every time you think about it, before you even think about it, the emotion is there. Do you ever feel you have to think about loving your child? The love is
No,
not before even your thought comes. The love is
no.
actually there. You feel love. That's why you say I love you, right? Not the other
Yes,
way around. In some
yes.
relationship, it might be, but you feel that, and then the words come out. So that's why emotions are very strong. Emotions drive your actions, right? So that's why you have to understand that. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about a very simple scenario. Your friends get angry with you, you feel angry, and you argue, right? So that's a very simple scenario. Let's add more details to it. So trigger occurs in a context. So current circumstance, feeling. So what really happens is you are low on sleep, your friend gets angry on you, you are reminded of a bully, like somebody else in the past talked to you like a bully, you get angry and you get upset, right? Does it make more sense why you get angry? Because you are low on sleep. It reminded you of some old person. So there were triggers. Your low sleep was a trigger, and then it reminded you of somebody who behaved in the wrong way with you, and you argued with that. So what is happening underlying is this. So don't get confused with this chart. The chart is very simple. What it says is there are a lot of triggers, like for some people they are rejected by their loved ones, some people get rejected by whoever they feel emotional support from. Somebody says something to you in a very upsetting tone, like from an authority figure, or somebody does something which is very different from your belief system. So what really happens is all of these are triggers that can make you angry. But at the same time, the more important thing is these are triggers. These are things which are happening from outside, trigger, right? Some people get angry when it gets too hot or it gets too cold. So these are all outside things. But the more important thing is how you perceive this, So two people go to the ocean and the waves are really wild, very crazy. One of them looks at the waves and that person was once almost drowned. So he has a fear with crazy waves. So he says, oh, I can't go into the ocean because the waves are really crazy and I might drown because it happened last time. I almost drowned. The other person is a very good swimmer and he also enjoys surfing. So when he looks at these crazy waves, he's like, today is going to be the best day in my life because I'm going to have a really great time in the ocean. I'm going to surf and all that. Two people, same situation, different perception, different response. One is really afraid and one is really happy. One is really joyful. So triggers could be anything, whatever is the situation happening, but how I'm perceiving. Perception here is you are reminded of a bully because your perception is based on whatever has happened in the past. So how you perceive, based on that, you are going to respond. So you become tense, you feel attacked that your friend said something to you in a certain manner, it reminded you of a bully. So either you walk away, either you argue, or you take a time out, you say like, okay, I don't have to say anything. Either you argue or you start avoiding them, which means you shut yourself down. So depending on what you're perceiving inside, that's how you're going to respond to that trigger. Does it make sense to everybody till now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So now what this has happened is based on what you have perceived, that's how you're going to respond. And your response could be how you're perceived. So whether you get afraid of the waves or you get very joyful about the waves. So somebody says something very upsetting to you, you look at it and you said, oh, this person is criticizing me. But before I get upset with him and say, you always criticize me, your behavior is like this because you don't like me, you're jealous of me. Before I jump into all of that, let me see whatever he's saying, is it true or not? Say, for example, I'm doing this workshop. Somebody says something, I expect people to like me, people to say, hey, good job. But one of you says, like, this is not really good. Vivek, whatever you shared was useless, or the way you shared was useless. So instead of me jumping to it, I look back and say, is there any truth in what he or she is saying? Forget about even if he always criticizes, but if there is a truth, let me pick up whatever would help me become better. So even before I jump into this, something would react inside me, which is like I would get upset, I would get frustrated, I would get angry. All of these means that somewhere something is getting triggered inside me. And then if I don't take note of all of these emotions which are there, I'm going to get really upset and say something. But if I look at it, it's like, oh, this person is giving some constructive feedback. Let me see if it's really true or not. And maybe what they are saying is true. So now in that moment, instead of getting upset, I said, actually, thank you for bringing that up because I'm going to go fix it. So next time I can go and become a better person or become a better presenter, whatever it is, right? Same response from outside, like same trigger from outside, but I have looked at it in a different way. That's why when enlightened people meet, they say those who defame you are your biggest friend. Why? Because when they're defaming you, you have to check yourself. Are you getting upset? Are you getting frustrated? Are you getting whatever it is? Because if you're getting any of those things, that means there is still work to be done. And whatever they are saying, whatever they are doing to you is actually a gold. It's a feedback they are giving to you so that you can understand where you are on your journey. Means you used to get really upset before, now you get less upset, but you're still a little upset, which means you've improved, but you can still improve better. If they have never said this, you would have never got upset, you would have never known what has really happened. Does it make sense?
Yes.
So, and anger doesn't mean that you get upset once of a sudden. Anger comes from different places. You can get into a disputed manner, then you get passive aggressive, you feel insulted, you get into quarrel, screaming, yelling, boom, 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 and you can go all the way to the next level. So if you catch yourself, I'm getting irritated, right? In the morning, something happened, you get irritated. If you catch yourself there, then you would actually start looking what is making me irritated. That's why traffic control is very important, because traffic control helps you to not just step back from getting yourself caught up into everything and letting yourself, whatever is happening inside, behind or escape. You look back and say, where is this irritation coming from? One could be something really happened. Other thing is you could be picking from somebody else. And if you're picking from somebody else, then it's not your responsibility to go and fix it. All your responsibility is to let go without really getting caught up into it. So all of these different things actually happen, which really would help you understand, hey, am I getting a little passive aggressive, a little insulted, whatever it is, so that you can become aware what's going on. Because most of the people in the world are either living, I'm happy, I'm unhappy, I'm comfortable, I'm uncomfortable. But between this to this, there's a whole rainbow there. You can feel irritated. That irritation would become into frustration. Frustration can become into fill in the blanks, and all the way till the time it becomes full on rage, right? So I'm not saying most of you won't be in a rageful thing, but you would be in a little bit irritated or frustrated or whatever that kind of a behavior. So when you are operating from there, then even if you're trying to give advice to somebody, even though you're at your intention is the best of the intention, you're not going to get the result because inside you're already in that place. Until unless you come into turning it around, then what happens? You become better. So what really happens most of the time in the relationship is that we already carry some of the past stuff. Like we did this exercise, somebody still carries anger or whatever it is. Then somebody says something, some similar situation happens, they use the same word, something get triggered, you get really upset. So ideally, you should go back and look inside what is upsetting me, what is my underlying fear, whatever it is, and then start working on this inside. But because I go inside, there's so much of pain, so much of hurt because past stuff is unresolved. Instead of going inside, I use all that energy and I actually focus in on the person who has actually created that experience for me. Whoever has said this thing to me, I unload it on them because, and that is called blame, right? I'm blaming somebody because of you, I'm feeling this. Because it takes too much of effort, too much of courage, too much of energy to go inside and look what is the underlying fear. The easier route is to blame somebody and tell them, because of you, I'm feeling this way. So it's like if this shirt has a thorn here, and my friend comes and says, Vivek, how are you? I will feel hurt. And I say, like, because of you, I feel hurt. Then there are some enemies of me who really knows there is a thorn. They would come and deliberately press it into like, Vivek, how are you? And I feel really hurt because I know they would press the wrong button because they exactly know what would bother me. But then sometimes I just touch myself and I feel the prick myself. So each time I'm getting hurt. So what's the problem? Is it the other person? Is it me or is it this thorn? What's the
Thorn.
problem? Thorn, right?
Thorn.
I remove this thorn. Whatever is bothering me, if I remove that, that is the prasharth. I remove that. Then I touch myself, no problem. My friend touches me, no problem. Even my enemy touches me, no problem, because there is nothing to get hurt. I have cleared myself from all of these things. That's why you realize that in tough situations, people show what they are made up of. If they are carrying a lot of stress, they get very stressful. People who are calm, they become more calm, more strong, and take care of things. So that's what really is actually happening. So if you really see this situation, uh, you have these choices. There was a precondition, you didn't have enough sleep. Even if somebody said something, then you look back into past time, perceptual databases, you look into the past that somebody in the past said something in the same words, in the same tone to you, and they were trying to bully you or they were trying to upset you, then you get into this state. So there are physical changes, which means you got really upset, angry, face gets red, whatever it is. Then there are mental changes. See, last time they did this time they did it, they always put me down. This is happening. And then you go with one of these choices. But if you become a little mature and you've created with your meditation, you've created a little bit of a distance, then you can look at the physical changes. Oh, I'm getting short on breath. I'm feeling this energy and these stories are coming in. You catch yourself midway. But that's happening because you have practiced it to create a distance. Then you can choose the response. Otherwise, you're not choosing the response. What's really happening is these are on autopilot. Whatever you have said in the past, you're going to end up saying the same thing or feeling the same way. Either you would explode, say some things which are upsetting, or you would shut yourself down, go into your room and not talk to your family or friends for next fill in the blanks. This is your silent treatment to them because you don't know how to deal with it. Does it make sense?
Yes.
What is driving all of this thing is underlying this thing of fear. You know, there is a fear which is running this whole show. And what we are doing is we are trying to avoid the fear here. So fear has different stages also. So it can go from least intense to most intense. Least intense is you're on a defense, something could go wrong. There is nervousness, there's anxiety. A lot of people right now live in this place of anxiety and dread. A lot of people live in anxiety, but current situation has put them in desperation and panic. And depending on how bad it gets, it can become terrorizing. Terrorizing means you get so terrorized, you can't take any action, you can't think straight, you can't really get out of your bed, and all of those kind of things. Is this clear till now? What is, there could be several different flavors of fear also.
Yes.
Okay. So I would give you one simple thing to how to deal with it. I talked about it last time. So when I was talking about least angry to most angry, this could be the chart. You get annoyed, frustrated, exasperation, argumentative, bitter, fury, full on, you know. But if you would have caught yourself here, you would have dealt with it better. So let's talk about how you deal with it. And you can note down this chart if you really want to. Let me explain how this works. So you can use the same example which we talked about our anger exercise, right? So I'm just using the same example because anger is more easily relatable, but you can use it for any emotion, you know. So whether you get frustrated, you get upset, or whatever it is. So in a particular situation, what was your behavior which you showed? So you were screaming, yelling at others. That was the behavior. What was the underlying emotion underneath it? It was rage. Like you got really rageful. That's why you were screaming and yelling at other people. Where did you felt that rage? You felt that rage into your chest, into your belly, into whatever it is underneath. Okay. What triggered that emotion? Somebody in an authority figure, whether your father, mother, elder, fill in the blanks, or your boss, they said something to you in a very upsetting manner. They were trying to put you down. Internally, the way you looked at the whole situation was it triggered a memory where you were controlled by somebody else, you were betrayed by somebody else, or you were left feeling not good enough. This is how you interpreted the whole situation. That by this person, by saying this, is trying to control me, betray me, whatever it is. And what is the underlying fear of that perception? That if they can control me, if they betray me, if they make me feel this not good enough, then I might lose the power, I would lose the credibility, I would lose the respect, I would lose, fill in the blank. That's the underlying fear. Is it clear till now, that situation?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody not clear before I go to the next step? Okay. So how should I deal with it? So number one thing, when you are in middle of that emotion, when you're angry or upset and all those things, if you try to think positively, you won't be able to think positively. You need to have a very strong resolve power to think positively and to change your emotion, because you're already in that emotional state. What you have to do in that moment is you have to bring yourself into a place of little bit of stability. The easiest way you can bring yourself to stability is by breathing in that moment. So as soon as you notice that you are getting a little upset, angry, the energy is building up here, immediately breathe deeply into that part of the body directly. You know, so if you're feeling that anger or rage into your belly, just breathe directly. You can even put your hand, breathe 9, 10 times, right there. And as you do that, you would find that your breath is going to create a little bit of a gap in what you're feeling. And what I mean by gap is it would loosen the grip of that emotion on you in that moment. That's the number one thing. Is it clear? So you breathe directly. Everybody would know if you become a little aware, where is this emotion there. And sometime you would know it right after that, oh, I was feeling that way. But that's okay. We are learning. Next moment you catch yourself. So what we are going to do is we are going to reduce that time when we get upset and start exploding. The timeline would get reduced. The timeline would increase, which means I feel it and I explode. The next time I would feel it, I would explode after 2 seconds. I feel it, I explode after 10 seconds. I feel it, I explode after 20 seconds. I feel it, I don't feel like exploding, or I would get a little upset. and then you're increasing it until the time things would happen and you would look at it, I don't need to respond to this. In that moment, you have become mentally and emotionally free. And then you go to the next level, which is like, this person is going through a lot of its own drama, his own or her own thing. Let me have just good wishes. But that's the next level, right? But first of all, you have to bring stability in your own self. So what I have to do is, what can I help to stabilize in this moment, which is your breath, number one thing. You could have different things also. Maybe you start singing to kind of take your mind off. But for me, breathing works. Then the thing is, I trust that I will find the solution to the challenges. That should be your underlying thing. I trust that I'm going to find solution. And this is a post activity after you have gone through it and you run into the same situation again and again with the same person. You have to trust I would find it, These are some of the thoughts which I'm giving you. I understand that I cannot control other people or events, but I respond from people, place of stability. So what is the best thing which I can do? And maybe when you look back, you realize I shouldn't have got that much angry. It wasn't worth of it. But you realize that you only had so much control. So instead of feeling guilty, just forgive yourself and say, next moment when it comes out, not go to that level. Because if you feel guilty, that's the worst thing you're going to do. You are here. So when you are here, then you get angry. You are here. When you feel guilty, you are almost there, further down. And that is the worst thing you can do by feeling guilty. Learn from it that you're not going to do it, but let go of the guilt. So it's okay to feel fear and it will pass, and it is a temporary emotion. So do not label yourself. You always get angry, you always get upset, nothing's going to happen to you. These are all the language of guilt. So you say, I felt fear in that moment, acknowledge it. That's the number one thing. First of all, you acknowledge I'm afraid, right? And I'm afraid because of I would lose power, credibility, whatever it is. Second thing is, it's okay to feel fear in this moment. It's a temporary emotion. I'm feeling fearful in this moment, because we don't feel fear all the time. We feel in certain situations, just like we feel joy, we feel happiness, things come and go. Similarly, I'm allowing and making it okay to feel fear in this moment. Because if you don't acknowledge it, you don't even want to acknowledge that you're afraid, then you're suppressing your fear. The more you suppress, the more it would continue to grow in the background, and it would come back in the time when you least expect it. So this is one situation around anger. This is second situation where instead of yelling and screaming at other people, you get withdrawn and you don't want to connect with anybody. You suppress your anger. This is more relevant to females, to ladies, because they are not so used to exploding. Men are so used to exploding. I'm generalizing it, but it could be either way. But mostly women try to have a silent treatment. They suppress their anger. They suppress it. They feel it in their throat. They feel it in their solar plexus, and they can't speak out because they feel so afraid that they cannot express themselves. So their words do not come out of their throat. That's why a lot of women go through thyroid related issues, because the energy is stuck here. And what triggered that emotion is because something happened which made you feel that you're rejected by your loved one. Your loved one is not giving you enough love, or they're not going to love you in the future. Something has happened. And in that moment, your perception is because you're rejected by the loved one. And maybe the other person is not a good mood. They are just in their own mood and they didn't respond to you in the way you wanted. Now your perception is you're not worthy of connection, you're not worthy of love, your old tape is again going on. And all of this would lead to that, hey, you would lose this relationship, you would lose the love in this relationship. Again, when you're feeling this, your number one thing is what is going to stabilize you. For some people, breathing would stabilize you. For some people, to sit and meditate and remember God is going to stabilize you. Do that if that works for you. And then you come back and you create that positive thought, because in that moment you can use your mind, not before when you're in the middle of the emotion. When you become little stable, you have little space to really think, then your mind can kick in. I trust that would find a solution. I'm worthy of connection. Then you can even read a morally, or you can read something positive. Then that would kick in. And as you train yourself, you would realize that you have more control than you thought. And then also to understand that I cannot control other people events, but I can respond from a place of stability. And it's okay to feel rejected, and it will pass, as it is a temporary emotion. There is not a single person in the world who does not feel rejected or who do not have a fear of rejection. Make sure that you're not unique if you feel rejected and all that. Every single person in the world feel rejected, and every single person in the world needs acceptance. Okay, so don't be so harsh on yourself. Like I was listening to one of the interviews from Oprah, and Oprah has taken interview of all the people, like the biggest politicians, biggest movie stars, presidents, and all that. And she said after every interview, everybody would ask this one question that, "Hey, was it okay? Did I did good?" And what they're trying to ask in that moment is, "Hey, whatever I said, am I accepted, for whatever I said, whatever I did, So everybody needs acceptance. So in that moment, when you feel angry, upset, that is the time you really need more acceptance than other people, So accept yourself rather than being harsh and upset that you failed again and all of that. Does it make sense? Anybody has any question on this?
No.
Very good.
No, it's good.
So there are several exercises. We have limited time. So, and we are coming close to our time. But what we really need to do is, number one, find a way what would make you stable. Even going and drinking a glass of water would make somebody stable. So know your formula. It's different for different people, right? So find what is your formula, because another BK has a certain formula. That doesn't mean that's going to work for you. So find your own formula. What would stabilize? For most of the people, breathing definitely stabilizes you. So I would tell you very simple thing. When you feel very unstable, very shaky, very overwhelmed with whatever is happening around you, what you can do is you can put your hand, below your navel, an inch below your navel, and you can put your hand, which is also your power center, and you can breathe from that place. And what I mean by breathe from that place is, when you breathe, you take your breath all the way down to your below your navel, and you breathe from there 10 times, and you feel much more stable, much more calmer. Okay, so let's do right now so that you can experience what I'm trying to say. So put your hand below your navel, just a little bit, an inch below your navel. And when we are going to breathe, we are going to take our breath to that place where our hand is. So let it expand. So as you breathe in, your hand would rise because you're filling yourself with that. And as you exhale, you let go completely. Okay. And if you can do it standing, it's even better, then you would find more stability there. So take a deep breath in. So put your hand there and take a deep breath in. Take it all the way, fill yourself up with that, and exhale. And as you exhale, just to go all the way, even if a sound comes out, heavy breath comes out, that's okay. Take another deep breath in and exhale. Take another deep breath in and exhale. Take another deep breath in, all the way, and exhale. And as you exhale, just let go of everything which doesn't belong in this. Take another deep breath in and exhale. Take another breath in and just continue to breathe deeply. Inhale deeply, exhale deeply. Inhale deeply, exhale deeply. You can remove your hand from below your belly and check how you feel in this moment. Do you feel calm? Do you feel present? Do you feel easy? How do you feel in this moment?
Relief.
Relief, yeah. Good.
Relaxed.
Relax. And how long it took? It took hardly a minute or two just to do breathing from there. And you
Yes.
can do it in any moment, even when you are talking with somebody and you feel a little overwhelmed, you can just put your hand there, or even if you don't put your hand, you just start breathing in that moment. You will find a little more stability. So we are going to do a small exercise before we close. So I would invite you to just go through this in a very simple fashion. And what we are going to do is we are going to simply check what's going on in each of these levels: physical, mental, emotional, all of those. Okay. And there is nothing right, nothing wrong. It is what it is. That's what we are going to check. So no judgments, no criticism about yourself. And close your eyes because it becomes probably easy to do that. So sit relaxed, take a deep breath in and let it go. And I want you to check physically in this moment. Check all the way from the top of your head to your feet. How are you feeling physically right now? Do you feel connected to your body? You feel like, hey, you have this access to this body, or you feel partly connected, means you feel more connected to the upper part versus the lower part, and nothing wrong in it. Either way, it is okay. So check what's going on physically for you right now. You're just noting, is there a part which is calling for special attention? So you don't have to speak anything, just this is for your own self. Is there a part which is calling for special attention, like it feels little stuck, little pain, whatever it is? So take your attention to that part. And as you take your attention to that part, check what exactly it is. Check what exactly it is trying to convey to you. So feel into that part and see what exactly it's trying to say. Does it need attention? What exactly it is wanting? You feel into it. And then you can respond to that part by saying, take whatever you want in this moment. Just give it permission to take whatever it wants. And trust that it knows what it needs in this moment, it will take it. So check if there is a change, even subtle change. You feel better, more open, more easy. And either way, it is okay wherever you are. And just continue to breathe as we are going step by step. So let's go to the next step. So check what's going on energetically for you in this moment. Energetically means, do you feel more alive in this moment? Like every single cell of your body is alive, or part of you is alive, part of you is not alive. So check in this moment, how do you feel? You feel more alive in the upper part of the body versus lower part of the body. Either way, it is okay. So given whatever you're feeling, and maybe some of you feel that very tired, not alive at all, and that's okay too, absolutely. So given what you're feeling in this moment energetically, what is it that you want in this moment? The key word is in this moment. Do you want more aliveness, more openness? Maybe some of you have a lot of energy, you want less energy. You're very overwhelmed, you want more peace, more calm energy. I'm talking energetically, so check. And based on what you are feeling, what is it that you want in this moment? Just tell yourself, I want more of this in this moment. And check how it feels as you express, I want this in this moment. I want more energy, more aliveness, whatever it is. Let's go to the next part, which is your emotions. So check emotionally what's going on with you in this moment. Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you excited? Are you calm? You could be happy and sad at the same time, excited and calm also at the same time. And some of you might be not be feeling anything at all, or maybe very peaceful, and that's okay too. So check, how are you feeling emotionally in this moment? And again, no judgment, no criticism. Whatever is there is all good. There might be a story your mind would tell, hey, I'm feeling this because of fill in the blank. Somebody said this, somebody, whatever it is. Just let go of that story and come back to your emotion where you are feeling that emotion. If you're happy, amazing, great. If you're joyful, that's great. If you're not so happy, that's okay too. The idea is to check what's there, not why it is there. So given what you're feeling emotionally, What is it that you want right now at the emotional level? You want more happiness, more joy, more openness, more calmness. But what do you want in this moment? So listen to yourself and see what comes up. And you can even say out loud, I want this in this moment. And see as you express, I want this in this moment, how do you feel in this moment?
I'm happy, but I want more happiness.
Yeah, so don't speak out loud, it's for you right now. Okay. So sorry, I think you were unmuted, so no problem. Uh, so let's go to the next part, which is go to that part which has all your good qualities, your spiritual self, your soul, and connect to that part, connect to your soul, and see if there is a message for you in this moment. Like if it could be a word, it could be a sentence, it could be a vibration or a feeling. And for some of you, there may be nothing in this moment, and that's okay too. So check what is the message which is coming from your soul in this moment. So whatever comes up, just receive it, accept it, and check. You resonate with it. And now the last step. So I invite you to become that soul, become that point of light, and zoom out and go all the way and watch all these parts of you, your physical body, your energetic body, your emotional body, as if you're watching all these parts of you from a distance. But you don't want to change anything, you don't want to intervene. You allow whatever is there to unfold in this moment. You're watching from a distance without changing, without trying to fix, without trying to judge, just watching all these parts of you from a distance. And here in this space, you can also bring in God, and bring in God and that, hey, I invite you to this personal space. This is my little space with all these different parts of me. And bring it from a place of just openness with a lot of love from the bottom of your heart. And in this moment, you can surrender all these parts that I allow you, God, or whatever name you want to call it from, Baba, that I surrender all these parts to you to guide me, to take me into the understanding what I really need to do, to come into my original state, original power. And now bring in your awareness, bring in your energy. What would it feel when you're truly free? And what I mean by that is, we all know deep inside what would it feel if I'm completely free. There is no limitations. There is no bondage. Like I'm free, I'm joyful. How would it feel to be in that space? Some of you have experience of it here and there, and some of you know deep inside. So bring in that knowing. So how would it feel physically? How would it feel energetically to be free, to be unlimited, emotionally, all the joy, all the openness, all the happiness? And let it expand inside you. Let it expand outside of you. With another breath, you can send it out to the whole world, this freedom, this openness, this lightness. So take a deep breath in. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. Whenever you're ready, you open your eyes. As you open your eyes, check. As you connect back to the world in this moment, how do you feel in this moment? As you look at different things, what is the vibration you pick up? So anybody would like to share how you feel in this moment in a word or a sentence? You can unmute yourself.
You feel calm because you have moved away from your train of thought that was upsetting you or causing you any kind of problem in the mental, spiritual, or emotional area. So that reminds me of my class in mindfulness, which is also kind of the similar steps, where you, when you are feeling upset or something, you kind of stop that train of thought, take few deep breaths. And in there, they say that, you kind of look around you to focus your attention on your present moment, kind of what are the things. And, that kind of, but the critical thing is to be vigilant, as soon as your primitive brain, reacts, because it's very quick, yeah, and it's upsetting, right away you kind of realize, oh, this is my primitive brain, stop and try to kind of do this calming and then cognitive thinking, all that, present yourself in the moment and all that. So
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else would like to share very briefly?
Yes, I'd like to tell you one thing. I tried many times meditation, but the problem is bad thoughts I cannot get away of. But this time I found my mind is blank, everything stands still, connected. External influence is not there. So that's very good that I concentrate 100% to connect my soul from the external problems. That's a very good of it.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. See, the thing is, you already have that space where you can go free from thoughts and all that. It's just the practice is not enough, or sometimes the process is not 100% accurate. But this is part of you. This piece is not coming from outside. It's already there. So that's the good thing. That's the good news. So the more you practice, you would really be able to go. But the process is first you have to calm all these different parts of you. If you have a busy day, you come down and say isolate and immediately have a great connection. Not going to happen. So you have to take step by step, breathe, then calm each level, see what is the need at each level, acknowledge it. First become aware what's going on, then acknowledge it, accept it, and then move forward. And once you acknowledge all these parts are very intelligent, they would naturally come to peace, and then you can go and connect higher. So that's there. Anyone else?
I feel confident that it'll be much easier next time if such a situation comes.
All the best. Congratulations. So before I finish, I want to tell you a very simple thing which I do. So most important is if you really want to transform yourself, there are three things you have to do. First of all, become present, then become real. Real means to really acknowledge what's there, not ignore it, not avoid it, not tell yourself, oh, I have all this knowledge. I'm on a spiritual journey for 10,000 years. I should not be feeling angry. I should not be feeling this. It's like what's there, you are actually challenging it. So you want yourself to be 100% peaceful. That's what in your mind, but the reality is not, you're not 100% peaceful, you're 50% peaceful, and you're trying to question the reality. So who's going to win, reality or your imagination? Reality would win 101% of the time. So if you acknowledge reality, be real, what your shortcoming is, what's working, what's not working, then you would be able to realize, okay, I am sad, or I am feeling hurt, or I haven't taken care of this sadness from last 10 years when I lost my Linda Blanks, or lost my job, lost my friend, whatever. Acknowledge that sadness, acknowledge this, and then work through it. Then you would have faster result compared to not even acknowledging it, keeping things in the back as if they don't exist, but they exist and they would play their part if you don't acknowledge it. And then finally, heart-centered. Heart-centered is a big definition. So the whole work which I do is to help people become more heart-centered so that they can listen to their intuition, they can connect with their soul. But in a very simple term, heart-centered is be easy on yourself. Don't blame yourself. Don't get into guilt. But that doesn't mean to be let loose, which means don't learn, don't see what is the reality, but acknowledge, but be loving to yourself. The more loving you are to yourself, the more trusting you are with yourself, the same you would be loving to others and trusting towards other people also. So it's a very simple definition I'm giving, but sometimes you do the class. So what I was talking about is two things: awareness and acceptance. That's what the exercise we do. Meditation's main goal is these two things, to help you become aware of what's going on, to allow you to accept what's going on. If you can do these things consistently, it's every moment journey. Every moment you become aware of what's going on in your mind, accept instead of fighting with it. Why I'm having these thoughts? I shouldn't have these thoughts. It's going to make it worse. So acknowledge, oh, I'm having negative thoughts. So what's next? Let me acknowledge it and not get involved. And as you acknowledge it, it would naturally go away. So once you do that, it would become easy for you. So that's all I have. I had some other stuff, but we spent a lot of time in discussion. So maybe some other time, when the time is right, we'll do another workshop and go through it. But if you have any questions or anything, you feel free to email it to me here or email it to the center. And maybe next time when we do the workshop, or if we have any workshop ideas what we should be discussing, then let center know, and we can organize another workshop, or maybe just do a session where we can do just a simple Q&A for all of us, so we all can learn from each other. I have some of these Facebook and YouTube where I post some of my classes. I posted a whole bunch of meditations very similar to what I did today. You can go and receive them. They're all free of charge. So take advantage of that. So that's all I wanted to share. Thank you. Any feedback you have for improvement, anything, feel free to let me know, let center know. I know some couple of people did mention that they had some, like one of the person mentioned about some hearing problem. So I'm sorry about that. I wish I could help, but next time I'll be more aware to speak a little more slowly. So that hopefully it was beneficial time for all of you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Om Shanti. Thank you.
You have done a great
Thank you,
job.
dear.
It's a good
Bye.
lecture.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.